Atlas 1 Flight 101. Radio check. Federal airspace is active. Confirm readiness for departure.
Maya,
Yes, Captain.
what do most small business owners think when they hear the words government contracting?
Large corporations, complicated proposals, endless regulations, and opportunities that feel almost impossible to reach.
Exactly. They assume the federal marketplace belongs to companies with thousands of employees, entire proposal departments, and decades of past performance.
Is that assumption wrong?
Not entirely. Large companies do have advantages, but the conclusion is wrong.
Which conclusion?
That small businesses do not belong in the market.
Then perhaps the real problem is not size, it is understanding where to enter.
Now we have an episode. Welcome aboard the flight deck. I'm John E. Cornish III, founder and CEO of Marshall Davis Medical Logistics, creator of the Atlas One enterprise system, and your captain for today's mission.
And I'm Maya Chen, Executive Intelligence Officer, Atlas One AI Voice of Reason, helping transform complex information into practical executive intelligence.
This is the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint, an Atlas One Executive Podcast Network original series. This season is designed for entrepreneurs, small business owners, executives, and emerging government contractors who want to understand how the federal marketplace actually works.
Not through slogans, not through overnight success promises, and not through the assumption that every opportunity should be pursued.
We are going to discuss government contracting as executives should understand it, through mission, risk, relationships, readiness, intelligence, and disciplined execution.
Every episode will answer one important executive question. We will challenge assumptions, examine the evidence, translate complexity, and identify the practical next step.
Because this is not simply a conversation about winning contracts. It is a conversation about building companies that can responsibly support important missions.
Experience provides perspective. Intelligence reveals the pattern.
And together, they create executive clarity. Today's question is where the entire journey begins. Does a small business truly have a place in federal contracting?
The answer is yes, but not for the reasons many people expect. John, let us begin with the misconception. Why do so many capable business owners believe they are too small to compete?
Because the system looks intimidating from the outside. The language is different. The processes feel unfamiliar. And most people have never seen the inside of a federal procurement workflow.
So it is not about actual barriers.
No, the barriers are mostly perceptual. The federal government actually wants small businesses to participate.
That surprises a lot of people.
It does, and here is why. In 1953, Congress passed the Small Business Act. That legislation did something remarkable. It declared that small businesses are essential to the American economy, and it created a framework to make sure they have a real opportunity to compete for federal contracts.
Not a symbolic gesture, a structural one.
Exactly. Every year, the federal government sets procurement goals. 23% of all prime contracting dollars are supposed to go to small businesses. There are specific targets for women-owned businesses, service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, small disadvantaged businesses, and businesses in historically underutilized zones.
These are not suggestions. They are goals that agencies are measured against.
That is correct, and when agencies do not meet those goals, there is accountability. This creates real demand for small business participation.
So the government is not just tolerating small businesses, it is actively seeking them out.
Actively seeking them. And here is the part most people miss. The federal government is the largest customer in the world. Not just in the United States, in the world. The Department of Defense alone spends over $400 billion a year on contracts, health and human services, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Homeland Security, the General Services Administration. These agencies buy everything from medical supplies to cybersecurity to janitorial services.
And they need companies of all sizes to deliver that work.
They do, and they prefer working with companies that can demonstrate reliability, quality, and a genuine understanding of their mission. Size is secondary to those qualities.
John, I want to pause on something you said. The federal government is the largest customer in the world. That is a bold claim. Can you put that in perspective for someone hearing it for the first time?
Sure, think about the biggest commercial customers you can imagine: Walmart, Amazon, Apple. The federal government spends more on contracts than all of those companies combined. And unlike commercial customers, the federal government does not go away. It does not change strategy every quarter. It does not get acquired. It has consistent, predictable needs year after year.
That is a powerful point. Stability and consistency.
And that matters enormously for a small business. Because if you are trying to build something sustainable, you want customers who will be there next year. And the year after that. The federal government is that customer.
So the opportunity is real, the market is massive, and the government is actively trying to include small businesses. Why then do so few participate?
Fear, lack of information, and a misunderstanding of what it actually takes. Most small business owners hear about government contracting and think they need a massive infrastructure, a proposal department, compliance experts, years of experience. And yes, you need to be prepared, but the entry point is far more accessible than most people realize.
Let us talk about that entry point, because I think that is where the real confusion lives.
Agreed, and that is exactly what we are going to break down next.
John, we have established that the opportunity exists, and the government wants small business participation. But how does a small business actually enter this market?
There are 4 primary entry points, and I want to be clear about this because most guidance skips right past the fundamentals.
4 entry points. Let us walk through each one.
The first entry point is subcontracting, and this is where I recommend most businesses start. When a large prime contractor wins a major federal contract, they cannot do everything themselves. They need partners. They need companies that bring specialized expertise, companies that can handle specific scopes of work, companies that help them meet their small business subcontracting goals.
So you are not competing against the prime, you are partnering with them.
Exactly. You are solving their problem, and their problem is delivering the mission while meeting compliance requirements. If you can help them do that, they want to work with you.
What is the second entry point?
Set-aside contracts. These are contracts that the federal government reserves specifically for small businesses. There are set-asides for small businesses in general. There are set-asides for women-owned small businesses, for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, for small disadvantaged businesses, for hub-zone businesses.
These are real contracts with real value.
Absolutely. Some of these contracts are worth millions, and the competition is limited to businesses that meet the specific eligibility requirements. If you qualify, you are competing in a much smaller pool.
That is a significant advantage.
It is, and it is one of the reasons why certifications matter so much in this space. Getting certified as a small business, a women-owned business, a veteran-owned business, these are not just credentials. They are keys that unlock specific opportunities.
What about the third entry point?
The third is full and open competition. This is where any business, regardless of size, can compete. And I will be honest, this is the most challenging path for a small business, because you are competing against companies with decades of experience, massive resources, and established customer relationships.
But it is not impossible.
No, it is not impossible. And there are small businesses that win full and open competitions, but they usually do it by bringing something unique, a specialized capability, a proprietary technology, an approach that the larger companies cannot replicate.
And the fourth entry point?
The GSA schedule. This is essentially a long-term contract with the General Services Administration that allows agencies to buy from you directly. Think of it as getting your products and services listed in the government's marketplace. Once you are on the GSA schedule, agencies can purchase from you without going through a full competitive process.
That sounds like a powerful position to be in.
It is, but it requires a significant investment of time and effort to get there. The application process is thorough. The pricing has to be competitive, and you need to demonstrate that you have the capacity to deliver.
So we have 4 entry points: subcontracting, set-aside contracts, full and open competition, and the GSA schedule. For a business just starting out, which one makes the most sense?
Subcontracting, almost always. It is the lowest risk. It lets you learn the market. It helps you build past performance, and it gives you relationships with prime contractors who can become long-term partners.
It is the on-ramp.
Exactly. It is the on-ramp that leads to everything else.
John, I want to shift the conversation slightly. We have talked about why small businesses belong in federal contracting and how to enter the market. But there is a topic we have not addressed yet, and I think it might be one of the most important.
Go ahead.
Money.
Now that will get people's attention.
It should, because one of the biggest mistakes I see small businesses make is underestimating what it actually costs to pursue federal work. And I do not mean the cost of delivering the work. I mean the cost of trying to win it.
You are talking about the investment required before you ever see a dollar of revenue.
Exactly. Let me walk through some numbers. A typical small business entering the federal market should expect to invest somewhere between $50,000 and $150,000 over the first 12 to 18 months, and that is before they win their first contract.
That sounds like a lot, but let me put it in context.
Please.
If you were starting a new commercial business in any industry, what would your startup costs be? Office space, equipment, marketing, sales staff, compliance, legal, accounting. In most industries, $50,000 to $150,000 would be a modest startup budget.
So the investment is real, but it is not unreasonable.
Not unreasonable at all, and the return potential is extraordinary. A single federal contract can be worth hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions. And unlike commercial revenue, federal contracts come with built-in protections. Payment terms are enforced by law. Contract modifications have formal processes. And once you are performing well, renewals and follow-on work create a pipeline.
John, can you give a specific example of what that investment actually covers?
Sure. First, registration and compliance. Getting registered in SAM. Getting your business classified. Getting certified if you qualify for set-asides. That might cost $5,000 to $10,000 if you hire a consultant to help you do it right.
What else?
Proposal development. This is the big one. Writing a federal proposal is not like writing a commercial bid. It requires understanding the solicitation format, compliance matrices, technical approaches, past performance narratives, pricing strategies. A good proposal writer who understands federal contracting will charge between $10,000 and $25,000 per proposal.
Per proposal?
Per proposal. And you might submit 5 or 10 proposals before you win your first one. So that is $50,000 to $100,000 right there.
That is a significant investment for a small business.
It is. But here is what I want people to understand. You do not have to do it all at once. And you do not have to do it alone. There are resources available. Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, known as PTACs, provide free counseling to businesses interested in government contracting. SCORE mentors can help with business planning. The Small Business Administration has programs specifically designed to help small businesses navigate the federal marketplace.
So the support infrastructure exists.
It does. And the businesses that succeed are the ones that use it. They do not try to figure everything out on their own. They leverage the resources that are available. They invest strategically, and they treat the learning curve as part of the process.
What about cash flow during this period? Because a small business still has to keep the lights on while they are pursuing federal work.
That is a critical point, and it is one of the reasons why I recommend starting with subcontracting. Subcontracting work often comes with faster payment terms, and it allows you to generate revenue while you are building your past performance and learning the market. It is very difficult for a small business to survive 18 months of pure business development with no revenue. So the strategy should be to generate revenue through subcontracting while simultaneously building the capability to win prime contracts.
That is a much more sustainable approach.
It is, and it is the approach that the most successful small government contractors have taken. They did not start by trying to win a $10 million prime contract. They started by doing excellent work on a subcontract. They built their reputation, they learned the market, and when they were ready, they moved up. Let me share something that I think will help bring all of this together. This is a real story. I have changed some details for confidentiality, but the essence is true.
I love when we get into real examples.
There is a company I know. Let us call them Precision Supply. They are a medical logistics company, about 50 employees, family-owned, been in business for 20 years. They supply medical equipment and supplies to hospitals and clinics across the Midwest.
A solid commercial business.
Very solid, strong reputation, reliable delivery, good pricing, the kind of company that hospitals trust. But they had never worked with the federal government, not once.
What changed?
A colleague mentioned that the Department of Veterans Affairs was looking for medical supply companies for a regional contract. The owner of Precision Supply was curious, but skeptical. He had always assumed that federal contracting was for the big companies, the ones with government divisions and proposal teams.
But he decided to look into it.
He did, and what he found surprised him. The VA contract was specifically set aside for small businesses. The scope of work was almost identical to what his company was already doing for commercial hospitals. The compliance requirements were more detailed, but they were not impossible. And the contract value was $2.4 million over 3 years.
That is a significant contract for a 50-person company.
It changed the trajectory of their business. But here is the part of the story that matters most. Precision Supply did not win that contract because they were the cheapest bidder. They won because they had 20 years of past performance in medical logistics. They had a quality management system. They had a track record of reliable delivery. And they took the time to write a proposal that directly addressed what the VA was looking for.
They spoke the customer's language.
Exactly. They did not try to be something they were not. They presented themselves as what they were, a reliable, experienced medical logistics company that was ready to serve the VA's mission. And that was exactly what the VA wanted.
What happened after they won the contract?
2 things. First, they discovered that the work itself was not that different from what they were already doing. The VA's supply chain had some unique requirements, specific reporting formats, certain delivery windows, particular quality standards, but the core work was the same. Get the right medical supplies to the right place at the right time.
And the second thing?
They realized that this was just the beginning. Once they had a federal contract on their record, once they had past performance in the federal system, other opportunities started appearing. The VA offered them additional work. Other agencies reached out. Prime contractors started calling them about subcontracting opportunities. Their reputation in the commercial market carried over, and their new federal credentials opened doors they did not even know existed.
That is the power of that first contract.
It is, and it is why I am so passionate about helping small businesses understand that this market is not closed to them. It is open. It is waiting, but you have to walk through the door.
Precision Supply is proof that the door is real and that it leads somewhere meaningful.
Maya, I want to share something personal. something that shaped how I see this entire space.
Please, Captain.
Before I started Marshall Davis Medical Logistics, I worked with a man named Marshall Davis. He was a military veteran, a logistics expert, and one of the most disciplined people I have ever met.
He sounds like a remarkable person.
He was, and he taught me something I have never forgotten. He said, "John, in this business, you are either building trust or spending it. There is no neutral."
That is a powerful perspective.
And it applies directly to what we are talking about today. Because when a prime contractor looks at a potential subcontractor, they are not just looking at your capabilities. They are looking at your character, your consistency, your follow-through.
Trust is the currency.
It always has been, and it always will be.
John, I want to make sure our listeners are capturing the tactical value here. Can we do a flight deck intelligence segment?
Let us do it. Flight deck intelligence. Today we are going to talk about contract types.
Contract types. This is something that most new entrants to the federal market completely overlook.
They do, and it is a critical oversight because the type of contract you are working under determines your risk profile, your cash flow, and your profitability.
There are several common contract types in federal procurement. Let us start with the most straightforward one.
Firm fixed price. This is exactly what it sounds like. You agree to deliver a specific scope of work for a specific price. If you deliver it under budget, the savings are yours. If you go over budget, you absorb the cost.
The risk is on the contractor.
It is, and that is why it is so important to understand your costs before you price a firm fixed price contract. If you underestimate, you could lose money on the work. If you overestimate, you might not win the contract.
What is the next type?
Time and materials. This is where you are paid for the hours your team works and the materials you use. The risk is lower because you are being compensated for actual costs. But the government watches these contracts closely because costs can escalate.
And the third type?
Cost plus. This is where the government reimburses your actual costs and then pays you an additional fee, which is usually a percentage of the costs. This is the lowest risk for the contractor, but the highest risk for the government. So these contracts come with significant oversight and auditing requirements.
For a small business just entering the market, which contract type makes the most sense?
Time and materials or cost plus, depending on the work. These contract types allow you to learn the market without taking on excessive financial risk. As you gain experience and confidence, you can move into firm, fixed-price contracts where the profit margins are usually higher.
That is strategic thinking, and it is exactly the kind of intelligence that separates successful contractors from unsuccessful ones.
And that is your flight deck intelligence for today.
Time for our radar sweep. Today we are going to look at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
The VA. And this is a perfect example for our topic today.
The VA manages one of the largest healthcare systems in the world. Hundreds of medical centers, thousands of outpatient clinics, millions of veterans relying on their services.
And when I talk to VA contracting officers, and I talk to them regularly, they tell me the same thing. They need reliable small business partners, especially in medical logistics, IT services, and clinical support.
The opportunities are there.
They are, and agencies actively want to work with small businesses, but you have to be ready to deliver. You have to be present in the market, and you have to understand what the agency actually needs.
Not what you think they need, what they actually need.
Exactly, and that requires research. It requires conversations, and it requires a willingness to listen before you speak.
John, I want to add something here. When I analyze VA procurement data, I see a clear pattern. The small businesses that win VA contracts are the ones that have invested time in understanding the agency's specific challenges: long wait times, supply chain disruptions, technology modernization. If you can position your company as a solution to one of those specific problems, You are not just another vendor. You are a strategic partner.
And that is the difference between winning and losing in this market.
The radar sweep shows us that the federal marketplace is not a monolith. It is a collection of agencies, each with unique needs and priorities. Understanding those nuances is what separates successful contractors from the ones who never get past the starting line.
And the VA is just one example. Every agency has its own culture, its own procurement patterns, its own set of challenges. The businesses that take the time to understand those differences are the ones that succeed.
Let us wrap up the radar sweep with this thought. The federal marketplace is not just a revenue opportunity, it is a mission. And the agencies that are buying are not just customers, they are partners in serving the American people. When you approach this market with that mindset, everything changes.
It does, and it starts with understanding that you are not just selling a product or a service. You are supporting a mission, and that mission matters.
Before we close today, I want to explore one more perspective, the prime contractor's perspective.
This is important, because understanding how primes think changes how you position yourself.
Imagine you are a large defense contractor. You have just won a $200 million contract with a federal agency. The work is complex, the timelines are tight, and the compliance requirements are extensive.
You need a team, and you need partners you can trust.
You start looking for subcontractors. What are you looking for?
3 things. First, past performance. Have you done similar work before? Can you prove it? Not with marketing materials, with actual references, actual outcomes, actual performance data.
Past performance is the currency of credibility in federal contracting.
It is, and it is the single most important factor in a prime contractor's decision to work with you. Second, reliability. Can you deliver on time? Can you meet the quality standards? Can you handle the compliance requirements without constant hand-holding?
Primes do not want to babysit their subcontractors.
They do not. They have enough on their plate managing the prime contract. They need partners who can operate independently, who can manage their own quality, who can meet their own deadlines, and who can communicate proactively when issues arise.
And the third thing?
Cultural fit. This one surprises people, but it matters enormously. The prime contractor has a relationship with the customer. They have a reputation to protect. They need subcontractors who understand the customer's culture, who can work within the agency's environment, who represent the team well.
So it is not just about what you can do, it is about how you do it.
Exactly. And this is where small businesses have a real advantage, because small businesses tend to be more flexible, more responsive, more personally invested in the work. And that translates into better performance, better communication, and stronger relationships.
The prime is not just buying labor, they are buying trust.
They are buying mission assurance, and that is worth more than any line item on a spreadsheet.
John, as we bring this episode to a close, I want to reflect on something.
Please.
Today, we have talked about the federal marketplace. We have talked about why small businesses belong in it. We have talked about how to enter it. We have talked about the investment required, and we have talked about the prime contractor's perspective. But underneath all of that, there is a single thread.
What is it?
Understanding. The federal marketplace is not closed. It is not reserved for the elite. It is not impenetrable. It is simply unfamiliar, and unfamiliarity creates fear. But once you understand the landscape, once you see the structure, once you recognize the opportunities, the fear disappears. And what replaces it is clarity.
Executive clarity.
Exactly. And that is what this podcast is about. Not just information, but the kind of understanding that changes how you think, how you plan, and how you act.
Maya, that is a perfect summary. And I want to add one thing. This is not a journey you take alone. The federal marketplace is a community. It is a network of agencies, primes, subcontractors, and support organizations. And they all want the same thing: mission success. When you approach this market with humility, with curiosity, and with a genuine desire to contribute, you will find that the doors open much wider than you expected.
Mission Brief. Today we answered the question, does a small business have a place in federal contracting? The answer is yes. And here is the tactical approach. Step 1. Open sam.gov. Spend 1 hour exploring what is available in your industry. Step 2. Research who is winning contracts in your space. Look at their past performance. Understand what the government values. Step 3. Reach out to a contracting officer at an agency that interests you. Start a conversation. Ask what they look for in vendors.
Those 3 actions will fundamentally change how you see this market, and they cost nothing but your time.
The mission is not simply to win contracts. The mission is to build a company that can responsibly support important work.
That is the mission, and it starts with understanding.
Experience provides perspective. Intelligence reveals the pattern.
And together, they create executive clarity. Flight deck. Today we talked about the fundamentals of government contracting. We explored why small businesses belong in the federal marketplace. We walked through the 4 entry points. We discussed the investment required, and we heard a real story about a company that changed its trajectory by walking through the door.
The federal marketplace is the largest customer in the world, and it is looking for partners, not just vendors, partners.
On our next mission, we are going to explore why prime contractors really hire subcontractors.
Flight plan filed.
And I
Proceed
promise
on course.
you, it is not
Federal
for the
airspace
reasons
is
you
open.
think.
Good luck.
That is going to be an important episode.
It will be. Until then, keep building, keep learning, and keep flying.
This is the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint.
An Atlas One Executive Podcast Network original series.
Experience provides perspective. Intelligence reveals the pattern.
And together, they create executive clarity. I am John E. Cornish III.
And I am Maya Chen.
We will see you on the next mission.